It's time for another edition of We Welcome Your Teams, a podcast about the most unique job in sport, football stadium announcers.
When we tried that system for the first time, I got a text saying, I'm putting my washing out, I can hear you from my house.
There was the odd occasion where, I'm jumping around like a football fan. I forgot that I was going to be and somebody would say, you haven't announced the goal yet. Oh, well, I better do that. So,
Good afternoon, South
Ross Stewart is, I think, a nice name to announce.
Oh, honestly, when I met Ross Stewart, I thanked him for elevating my personal brand.
So as it died down, the analyst said to me, actually, it was an own goal. And I went, bleep that, give me the mic. Goal scorer for Leighton Orient.
You are damaging the pitch. We have a game against Brighton on Sunday.
He said 10,000 of them all love you. 10,000 of them will hate you. And 10,000 of them won't give a about you. And I went, I like those odds.
Hello once again and welcome to We Welcome Your Teams. This is Rich Hurst of West Bromwich Albion, and alongside me is my co-host Alan Keegan, the voice of Old Trafford. Alan, how are you?
Very well indeed, thank you, Ricardo. Very well indeed, and looking forward to continuing the festive feel around our stadiums, or if you like, a feast of festive football.
I like that. That's very nice.
Yeah.
I'm expecting next time I see you at a home game on television to be fully decked out in Christmas Manchester United gear, as the walking advert that you are quickly becoming.
Well, this is it. You see, I'm easily bought. As you can see by some of the dress codes that I've recently gone into. But it's all in the line of duty, Richard. It's all in the line of duty.
Of course it is. A big shout out and thanks to Graham Easton from Scotland and Hearts, who was our guest on our previous bonus episode that we snuck in with him a mere week after his escapades at Hampden Park, where Scotland qualified for the World Cup. My favourite part of it was probably talking about him announcing Scott McTominay's goal as goal of the decade, then goal of the century, then goal of something, then elevated to goal, the best goal in the world ever. Completely ad-libbed as well. I chuck a few things in at the start of a goal announcement here and there, but never that much.
No, but he is Scottish. They've got the gift of the gab, haven't they? They're never short of a few words.
This is true. This is very true. Yes, big thanks to Graham and good luck to Hearts for the rest of the season, especially all we hear is Claudio Braga. That chant is yet to be beaten, I think.
It's good. Yeah. It's good.
Right, let's go on and introduce our guest then. She is the stadium announcer for Leicester City Women. And as much as anything else, I'm looking forward to chatting her and finding out about that gig, how she got it, but also about the late, great Brad Varnam, who we've had on this pod before and is very sorely missed, and I know was a big part of her doing the job. So let's welcome her to the tune that the Leicester City Women walk out to. It's Kasabian, Lil Ray, and here is Kerrie Cosh.
Oh, wow, you're telling me about this. I'll tell you about that. Start talking shit, you walk into another trap.
Kerrie, obviously it's got to be a Kasabian track, obviously, but this is one that I did not know about.
Yeah, this one was actually a pretty good one. So the club's done quite a few tracks over the years. Clubfoot, Underdog, they're probably the two known ones. But Il Ray has always been the first time that the teams are seen. And it's just one of them tunes that I think we know it's go time when that happens and that hits. Underrated, if you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely. And, finding one like that is always a tough gig. But I suppose you've got it slightly easier if it would say at Leicester because, we know it has to be Kasabian. Just go through the back catalogue.
Exactly. Just switch through all the Kasabian tunes and you're absolutely grand. Do you know what I mean?
Welcome, Kerrie, by the way, welcome.
Do you know what? My mum and brother are going to lose their minds that I'm on a podcast with Alan Keegan.
Hello, your mum and your brother. Hello.
They'll be down Stretford End being like, she knows him.
They've entered the theatre of dreams.
Exactly that. And they're disappointed that I'm not there. But, I'm usually pretty busy as well, so I can't always make games. But, I've been doing it since 2022. So I guess I'm fairly new still to the world of stadium announcing. And for me, though, I've worked for the club since 2018. So I was actually there nearly 4 years before I got the announcing gig, which was a bit of an odd one, but also Brad Varnam all over, basically.
Yeah. Well, give us the steps how it all happened then, because I'm sure with Brad's name associated with it, it'll be a funny journey for you.
Well, for me, I started in 2018 at the club. Initially, I knew a guy who was in my student radio station because I went to Nottingham Trent Uni, and Leicester was kind of like next door. And there was a guy at the station who was doing the graphics for Match Day. And he said to me, "Oh, I know you're a fan of Leicester. They're looking for a new vision mixer. Do you want to come by and see what it's like, whether or not it's for you?" And I said, yeah, of course I do. Anyway, it got to the end of October, start of November, and I was due to do my first game in December. But then my game transpired that the first ever one was after the helicopter tragedy. So as you can imagine, it was a tough gig to be walking into for the first time, just as a vision mixer. So I did that game and I came back for like 3.5 years. And then it got to 2022 and the women's team had just moved up from basically the championship, WSL2 as it's now known, into the WSL. And as a result of that, all their games got moved to the King Power Stadium because there were a lot of fans obviously being like, come on, we need to play in the stadium. This needs to happen. So it did. And then we got to about 2 games in 2022, and I was at the men's game. And at the time, they used to do this really nice spread of hot food before games, right? It was just so good. So every game, I'd go down to the little dining area where all the media guys would be eating in absolute luxury. And Brad Varnam was in there. And over the years, Brad and I had built up quite a good friendship. However, I don't think he knew that much about me because I was quite quiet in the office, believe it or not. And I used to work all the games, and I used to speak to people and be like, hi, just really starstruck, that all these like legendary players would walk in, Brad would walk in. And yeah, that day it was just me and him down in the little food hall, and we were having our meal. And I think he was just trying to get a little bit out of me. And he was like, "So what do you do outside of here then, when you're not at the King Power?" I was like, "Oh, I'm a BBC radio presenter." He was like, "For BBC Radio Leicester?" I was like, No, I'm a cover presenter on BBC Radio 1. And he was like, "Shut the front door." And he just stopped talking for about 10 seconds. And he went, "Are you serious?" I was like, Yeah, I'm serious. Like, I'm on Radio 1 Monday to Wednesday, 8 till 10 p.m. You can literally check out my show. And he looked on BBC Sounds with his phone in front of me. And he goes, "Why am I still in a job then?" He goes, "If you're doing that Monday to Wednesday, why am I still employed?" And I went, "Well, it's funny you say that, actually, because I've always wanted to be a stadium announcer." So he sat across from me with his food on one side and his clipboard, the famous Brad Varnam blue clipboard that was all-encompassing and waterproof. And he goes, "Here's some lines for you. Read them to me as if you're a stadium announcer." So I goes, "All right, then." So I got 1.5 lines in, and he goes, Stop. And I was like, "Oh no, he's going to roast me now. He's going to tell me that was absolutely awful, isn't he? I can just tell." So he goes, "No, here's how it's going to go. We're going to go upstairs to the office. And when we get upstairs to the office, because that's where all the media bosses sit on match days," he goes, "I'm going to talk to you and you're just going to go along with it." So we went up to the office together. I sat down at my usual desk with the vision mixing desk in front of me. And he goes, "Yeah, so boys, Kerrie's actually a presenter on BBC Radio 1, and it turns out she's a half-decent announcer. I'm not going to make the United game next Sunday. She'll cover me, won't you, Kerrie?" And there's me, like, turning around like, "Oh, my God, what do you mean? What do you mean?" And he's looking at me, he goes, "Won't you, Kerrie? You'll cover me next week against Man United." Yeah.
What a
right
debut.
then.
What a debut.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, the following week on Sunday, there I was, mic in hand, after having about 10 meltdowns to Brad on Twitter. And he was like, no, you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely grand. You're on Radio 1, mate. You don't need to worry about this. Anyway, literally, there I was all week, him reassuring me that I was going to be fine, doing the job. And I was stood there with a mic in my hand, sunny day in October, about to do Leicester City against Man United in the WSL. Wow. And that's how I got the job.
And how did it go?
Do you know what? It was a good first game, but I was a bit shook up because Brad's got this thing, or did have this thing, about being like, "I'm always watching. So I've got eyes and ears everywhere. I'm always watching. So I was thinking, oh my God, don't fluff this up because Brad's going to find out. I'm never going to be able to cover him again. I feel like the game went really smoothly, actually. It went really well. It was a good first game as first games went. I listened back and I was a little bit more high-pitched and shouty, maybe at the time, than I am now. But that's not always a bad thing. And it got to the end of the game and I was thinking, oh no, he's going to drop me a review. He's going to drop me a review. I waited for about an hour after the game had finished. And he goes, yeah, so you were all right. I've heard from a few people you were all right. So I can't make the women's games anymore. Do you want to do it?
Oh,
and that was it.
Amazing.
And exactly.
Amazing.
And this is the thing. That was Brad all over. Like, that is who he was. You know, he was a genuine champion of like people around Leicester. Everyone knew him. Like, when he came towards you, it was like just a hurricane of positivity. Do you know what I mean? He was one of those people in life that golden retriever people, you call them. You knew that he was going to like lift your day upside down. You were going to have a great day. And he was just truly such a nice bloke. And throughout the time that I started the job, I think there were a few moments where I did feel a bit wobbly over it, but he was always like, you'll be fine. Nobody's going to die. Nobody's like, it's fine. Just do it. And throughout that whole period of time, like every game, we'd always message each other afterwards and just be like, right, run down how it went. Here's what I fluffed up. Here's what went good. And he would do that with me and I would do that with him. And we just gelled. Do you know what I mean? Like, we just had a laugh all the time. And that was the great thing about him. And I think that's what everyone misses so much about him at the King Power, because he was just an absolute laugh.
Yeah. So just without getting away from your bit, who actually does the King Power now?
The King Power, the men's games, I guess, the men's fixtures, Tahir does them. So a guy called Tahir, he does quite a few other sports. So he does, oh God, sorry, one sec.
Hello.
Wasn't that a great story, Rich?
I know, but it doesn't surprise you one bit, does it, to hear that about Brad? No. Really? Obviously, he would never tell us about, that's being that sort of person. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit that that's exactly how he was like, because that's just his personality and how he came across to us. And every time he was chipping in the WhatsApp group, asking questions and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah, and the good thing is with him is that he brought me and Tim through at the same time. So both of us were kind of like coming up, wanting to be announcers at the time. And he was like literally the biggest supporter of both of us. He was always like super, super supportive. And he was so into like the whole next gen, and being like, right, I'm not always going to do this, but when I am ready to sort of take the next step in like life, I want somebody good here. And he was so like passionate about that and about supporting everyone. And since he's passed, we've actually got a plaque on the tunnel of the King Power where he used to stand. So for games, we stand in the little touchline on the dugout area, and to the right hand side when you walk out to look at the King Power Stadium, there's actually a plaque for him. And every single game, it's become a ritual for me since it was put in there. I have a chat with the plaque. So basically I walk up to the plaque before we even start and I have a chat with him. And pretty much every game, it's become somewhat of a thing that fans have started to clock on to what I'm doing. Yeah. So at first they were just thinking, who is this crazy woman chatting to a plaque on a wall? Like, what is going on? And now the ones who sit above the tunnel, I'll be having what I thought was a private conversation between me and Brad. And I look up and there's like about 60 fans staring over the tunnel, being like, is she talking to the plaque again?
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's talking to the plaque again. And it's become a thing now at the King Power where the fans will try and spot me doing that every game. And I always finish it with, I hope your male modelling gig up there is going well, because, he'd always joke that he was basically a male model in waiting. And, and I always finish it with that. And Brilliant. That's the end of the chat. And then that's it. I'm ready to go. Do you know what I mean? It's just like that overwhelming sense of like, I owe him so much for the time and the support that he put into me becoming an announcer, that I think the least I can do every game is have a little chat to him. Do you know what I mean?
That's a brilliant, brilliant story. And what a beautiful legacy as well. All the announcers on our WhatsApp group loved Brad. He made an impact, didn't he, Rich? And it's a great story for you, Kerrie. And maybe you can send us a picture and we'll put it on the WhatsApp group, because that's a beautiful story, that.
Yeah, the plaque is a momentous thing, and I'm so glad that they put it there, because it really is just a reminder of what a legacy he had. I remember going to the King Power as a kid. And yes, he did used to really extend Muzzy, is it? Like every time he announced him. But those are the things that people remember. Do you know what I mean? Those are the things that everyone remembers about him. But also as an announcer, there's so many things that he has brought in at Leicester that are still there. So like your Leicester City side, every game, that iconic phrase, I have to nail it. You have to nail it at the end of the day because that's his thing. Do you know what I mean?
Wow, because that's what's on the plaque, isn't it? Today, now your Leicester City side. It's bonkers. I don't know of that anywhere else. A plaque to commemorate your stadium announcer at a club. It's very special. It really is special. So look, both you and Tahir have got this incredible legacy and these huge steps, these huge these huge footprints to fill. Thank you. Yeah, shoes to fill. But yeah, it's really something. It is. So that's obviously set you up to for this incredible start into stadium announcing. And what's that now? So 3 seasons in. Have you had some what have been your big moments so far that you've enjoyed being part of?
To be honest, of the 3 seasons, there's been some really good moments, but obviously the good comes with the bad. But the biggest thing for Leicester, I think, being one of the still less established teams of what you'd consider the big 4 in the WSL, is the survival year after year. Every single year they've pulled it out the bag as a team, and they've still had stuff to play for in those last few games. So the energy has massively ramped up, and every single time that they've pulled it off, I think it's just got more special every year because it's a real sign of like how the team has developed. I think for me, when I first started at the club, it was a very different vibe, in the team compared to what it is now. And it's really got nice over the years, being like seeing the team become more established, but then also seeing the fans getting more involved. So like now, one of the things that I love the most about half time is actually that we now do a little penalty shootout with like 3 Foxes fans, usually young ones, and they come on the pitch at half time, and Filbert Fox is there, of course, and I announce him out onto the pitch. He gets a massive reception every single time. But the problem is this season, Filbert's got a bit above his station because he started making some really sound saves for these poor kids stepping up to take a pen, and Filbert's producing first team level saves.
Yeah.
Honestly.
We had a similar problem with Fred the Red. Fred the Red is always in goal, and you'd have these little kids, the biggest moment of their life. And I'll be honest with you, Kerrie, I had to have a word with him and just say, let it in. No one cares. Just let the little kid have the moment. He was like...
They might as well be taking a pen at Wembley, to be honest. Like, he's that big to the kids. Yeah. And then Filbert comes along with his massive fox boot and just ruins their moment with an absolute worldie. And do you know what the joke is, Alan? I actually spoke to him the first time, right, and said, you're going to have to let these in. You're going to have to just chill it out a little bit. First one, kid steps up to take the pen. Unintentionally, Filbert tries to move out the way, saves it. I was like, right, I've had it. I'm not doing these anymore.
No.
Do you know what? We have a halftime game, same kind of thing. The balls are on the edge of the box, and you've got to score past. Well, you've got to score past Baggy Bird. Now, I'm sure Dave won't mind me saying this, but he's the guy who is Baggy Bird. He plays football, and he's a goalkeeper. I kind of feel for him because he probably is torn at that very moment when he was standing on that line. Now, I'm a goalkeeper. Do I make the effort here? Because it was never really kids; it was normally adults. Do I make the effort here, or do I be the good mascot and be the, let everybody score and win and all this kind of stuff? But he was doing very well, so much so that halfway through the season, it's not Baggy Bird's bonus ball challenge, it's Boiler Man's bonus ball challenge. And now Boiler Man is in goal. And I can tell you, for a fact that it's not the same person in Boiler Man each time we do it. Sorry, trade secret here. And also, 90% of the time, it's a boiler costume. There's a tiny bit at the front where his eyes go where the vent is. But because we've got different people in him, some of them are a bit taller, some of them are a bit shorter, he can't really see that well. And he's a boiler, so he's not really diving anywhere.
No.
But but still people are hitting it straight at him and he doesn't know what to do because it's oh God. We could probably do like if we opened it up to everybody and said, look, let's talk about the mascots we work with. There's a whole other podcast there somewhere, isn't there?
Yeah.
They do say, don't they? Don't work with kids, animals, and apparently mascots now.
And mascots, absolutely. And mascots, you're not wrong. Blooming heck. You mentioned some of those great moments. It's only been a short career so far, and we're certainly not here to kill it. But have there been any moments you'd rather forget?
Yeah. So there's two. Right. There's probably one that wasn't really. There wasn't one that was really great, put it that way, but there was one that was absolute clanging, fantastic. We'll go down in the history books.
That's what we're here
for. Yeah. So
we love these. We love them. We've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
The worst scoreline I've done, so let's get the serious one out of the way. Worst scoreline I've done was the 3rd of December 2022, game 3 for me. Bear in mind, we'd lost 1-0 to United, 4-0 to Arsenal. We lost 8-0 to Chelsea, and it was 5 before half-time. Now, my subdued tone at that point needed a little bit of work. I wasn't the finished article necessarily, and I was trying so hard because 5 goals before half-time was definitely a low light. So, funnily enough, a lot of my mates were there, and they were like, oh, we'll get to see you announce a goal at the King Power. And I was thinking, yeah, but this is not the way I wanted you all to see me the first time. So that one weren't good. However, my absolute clanger that the media team constantly joke about is the fact that on the last game of the season, we were giving away 10 shirts, right? 10 Leicester City shirts. Remember that bit because it's important. Half-time comes around and we're very excited to give away these shirts. All the kids are like going wild for it. All the fans, all the adults are going wild for it, right? This is a brilliant thing. I get on the mic. I mix up the C and City with an SH in shirt, and it's an absolute clanger because, of course, I say Leicester Shitty shirt. On the mic, in front of a massive attendance at the time for the WSL, and I remember somebody told Brad within seconds what had happened. I looked at my social media, and I was waiting for it, and I saw him type in, "Shitty happens," he says.
Oh, see, even then he couldn't help himself.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, that was quite bad. And of course everyone picks up on that one. So that was great. That was real professional gig.
Ouch. Yeah. Well, look, we've all got to be careful every time. We had Swansea City recently, which if you try and say that quick. There'll be a few. Everyone's got our own cities we're up against. I suppose it's trickier for you because you're the home team. So,
Yes, yeah. Announcing that the home team shirt was a shitty shirt was, I'm surprised I still was employed after that, if I'm being honest. But, last game of the season, the manager was obviously, busy somewhere, distracted. Yeah. Trying to get the Singer beers in, hopefully at that moment in time. That was.
If that's your worst, then I think you'll be all right for the rest of time. Don't worry.
Yeah,
you haven't got Christian Fuchs there anymore anyway, so I haven't got to worry about that either.
No, but I did once send him a message that went viral actually because I had a tweet where I'd written for Fuchs' sake on something. And I think that was the first time I'd ever spoke to him because it went viral. And he messaged me and he was like, "I'm going to send you loads of merchandise with this on." Anyway, he sent me about 4 shirts and a hoodie for Fuchs' sake on. And he was like, "You've trademarked me term."
I didn't know he'd done that, Christian. I mean, you would, fair play. But I didn't know he'd done that.
He used to have a clothing line that was no Fuchs given. And he sent me a load of that, and then he made me a personalised one with what I'd said on the tweet on it, printed on the shirt.
We on commission.
I need one of those links, let me tell you right now.
Yeah, affiliate links, please. Wow. Oh, fair play. I didn't. Again, this. None of us. I've done it. And Alan, in all the world, in the many, 5 years at Old Trafford now, And, you know, all of that merch of yours that goes down the line. I mean, the cupboards and attics full of stuff you must have now.
Yeah.
But can any of it beat a No Fuchs Given shirt?
No, I mean, you know, there's nothing reaches that steady height, Rich. I mean, that's just a one-off, isn't it? That's a 10 out of 10, that one, Kerrie, because that's just superb. That what a claim to fame you've got on that one. I hope that's on you. I hope that's on your bag somewhere. You know, on your bio.
It's a real collector's item. That
absolutely.
Real collector's item.
Yeah, wow. So look, we talked about moments you enjoy, moments you'd rather forget. Just talk us through what you see as the best. I want to talk about the challenges in a minute, but let's just go through, you know, now that you've got some experience in what is the best thing about the job, do you think?
Do you know what? For me, the thing I enjoy the most is probably when we get new signings in, because I always think the reception for new signings, when you get to say welcome to the King Power for the first time, and you say that player's name, I think is that new level of optimism. And I've really enjoyed that, especially so on a team that has been quite high turnover over the last couple of seasons, where we've seen loads of new names come in and seeing the fans proper buzzing for it. That's definitely one. And then it's milestones for me. So we're getting to the point now where we're starting to see a few Leicester players who are hitting those milestones, and they're the first ever women's players to hit them in the club. So I remember seeing Aileen Whelan hit 150 appearances for Leicester City. Sam Tierney was the first ever player to make 100 appearances. So that was her family came down and everything, and she got presented with a shirt with 100 on it. And it's those milestones that she was the first ever player to do that for Leicester City. And that's really special. And then I think it's those first goals. So we've got quite a lot of young players in the squad at the moment. And my most standout one was probably Aston Villa legend Mark Draper's daughter, Denny Draper, plays for Leicester City. And she's a fantastic young player, full of so much potential. She come on the pitch about 78th, 79th minute against Bristol City when we won it was a 5-2 win. And it was 4-2 at the time. She come on and instantly, within 5 minutes, she scored her debut goal for Leicester City. And that was a super special moment, because obviously a young player like that, who's got such a future ahead of her, scores a goal 5 minutes into being subbed on. It was just absolutely incredible. And obviously, I don't think their moments can be topped. Do you know what I mean? It's it's you. Obviously, you guys have had some huge things in your careers, but I think just seeing those first moments for those players and being the one to announce it is super, super special. And obviously Mark was there as well for Denny's game. And it was such a good atmosphere that day. So I've definitely got to say those are my highlights of the week. I love so much about the job.
Okay, it's back to the chat with our guests shortly. But first, let's take a bit of time to tell you about why we love working with Shoot Music. They are the #1 music provider to the sport DJ community. And there's no point being a great announcer if there isn't great music to back you up on your match day. So, Shoot Music have a match day DJ service. You sign up for free and get new music sent straight to you, because they know that stadium atmospheres need creating and curating. You'll get access to handy instrumental versions, crowd-pleasing remixes, and specialised DJ mixes straight to your inbox, ready for your next match day. So to sign up, email them info@shootmusic.co.uk. Feel free to let them know you heard about them here on the We Welcome Your Teams podcast. This month, the team have sent round some amazing tracks. Here are 3 of our favourites. First up, it is the brand new single from The Now, who are a South Wales 4-piece. This is called Wild Curse. It's the 3rd track from the upcoming EP from the band, following the success of their last single, Roll With It. Isn't this riff just so tasty? Next up, we're bringing you one of Scotland's most exciting emerging singer-songwriters. It is PG Cialetta, and his new single is called The Streets.
I wander the streets at night, and I'm preaching you'll be fine. I drink all night, living life as I nobody will be a somebody.
Finally, new tune out on the iconic London Records. Inside Out from Shadow Child. He's a renowned UK DJ and producer. There's a Joe Church sample in here, you know.
See, my whole wide world has turned inside out, yeah, baby.
And there you have it. All tunes that were sent straight to our inbox just because we're signed up to Shoot Music's Matchday DJ service. Perfect for announcers looking for new tunes to add to their Matchday playlist or recommendations to pass on to that person in charge of Matchday music. Shoot will also support the great job announcers are doing with social media plugs and interviews with them as well. Plus, they're always looking for that next artist/club collaboration that could involve your team. And remember to see which tunes are doing the business at sports stadia around the world. Check out the Stadium Chart. There's a new one published every month. Okay, that's plenty for now about the great job Shoot Music do. Let's get you back to our guests with this episode of We Welcome Your Teams. Because you said earlier on, I've always wanted to be a stadium announcer, and that just made me think about how many of the guys we speak to and how many of them say, "Oh, yeah, I've always wanted this. This is what I always wanted. This is the one thing I wanted to do." And it doesn't always come out that often. You fall into it, or you do something similar, and then you happen into it. So, what do you remember first thinking about the job before you got it, and then when you got it?
So I remember before I got the job, it was just something that I'd always seen. I've been going to football games since I was young. Football's always been my thing. I played since I was like 8, and I played all throughout my uni life, everything like that. And I only stopped playing when I definitely realised that 18-year-olds were getting a bit too fast for me. Being an announcer, I think for me was one of those things where I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew that they were a huge part of the team. Do you know what I mean? They were always a huge part of the atmosphere. And I've always been somebody that's really enjoyed that atmosphere that an announcer can bring, because I really do think a good announcer can make or break a game, you know, especially so in those really tense moments that you're there to lift them, or you're there to give the team a bit of confidence, a bit of a boost. It's just, even though it's the smallest thing ever and a lot of people don't even notice the announcer, they still hear the announcer, you know, they still hear that voice. And I always wanted to do that. And funnily enough, it's hilarious, because the first ever time I really noticed a stadium announcer was the guy that we're on the podcast with. So Alan Keegan.
And the other thing that I think is particularly special to this podcast, it's one thing talking about the best bits about being a stadium announcer, but the challenges that we kind of go through, the daily struggles of a stadium announcer that nobody else understands. What would you say? What would you say the challenges?
Challenges are a really tough thing to kind of nail. Obviously, the natural one is when the scoreline ain't going well for you. Like, naturally, that is quite a challenge. Like, for me, I've always found the subdued tone definitely harder to nail than being right up there. And I think everyone would say that. But actually, weirdly, when I was trying to become a stadium announcer, and I'm being totally honest with you, I think my biggest challenge was actually being a woman in this game. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, as you may know from your previous episodes, there aren't a lot of us in the game. It's growing, but there aren't a lot of us. And when I was younger and I was coming through the ranks of playing football and always thinking about, the stadium announcer has this awesome job. That looks amazing. I wasn't sure how I was ever going to get there, firstly. But then secondly, because I didn't really see that many women doing the job. It was a tough old gig to be like, right, what's my route to get there, if that makes sense? Because, you know, women's football has obviously exponentially grown in the past few years. Women's football has gotten huge, you know, over the years. It's got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it will continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But I remember going to a game in the Prem, and I think it was like Watford Wolves or something, in the late noughties, early 10s. And I remember seeing Emma Saunders on the mic at Watford, at Vicarage Road. And I just remember that being like, whoa, wow, they have a female stadium announcer at a Premier League game. This is absolutely sick. And I think from that point on, seeing Emma and the fact that she was like the first ever Premier League stadium announcer to be female kind of lit a bit of a fire under me. Because I remember being like, okay, I'm seeing another girl doing this. maybe I can do this, like sort of thing. And I think that was an amazing thing. And also Pity Dahl Bayer Leverkusen was on the mic as well. And I remember going to a game in Germany and she was on the mic. And I think that was a bit later on after I'd seen Emma and being like, there's more of us. Like, this is amazing. And so I think that's one of the challenges. I think obviously, you know, in the women's game as well, like you're trying to get your name out there and, you know, you obviously always hope that you'll be able to do a job like this for any team, you know, realistically, especially so the one you support. But I do think that is a genuine challenge because there's not a lot of us. And, you know, I see a lot of female and young fans come up to me asking about the job. And I think it's so nice to be able to speak to them as a girl, to be like, you can do this. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a path for you. And I've seen it a lot in the Foxes fans that have got in touch with me outside of games, when I'm leaving the stadium, when I come into the stadium. More and more of them are sort of coming up to me asking what my route was into being a stadium announcer, because they're like, we have a female stadium announcer. How cool is that? And it's nice just to chat to them, to let them know that that is a route that they can look to pursue. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of fans, obviously, I don't think they realise that when you're growing up and you don't really see any women doing it, it is quite tough to find out how you actually make it happen. But yeah, it's really special when the Foxes fans come up to me and be like, cool, female stadium announcer, how did you get here? And, you know, I always have time for them. I always stop to chat to them and I always encourage them and just be like, practice this, practice that. You know, I think what Brad did for me was what I hope to do for somebody else one day.
Yeah. And look, if we take it right back to the early days, weirdly, it was the other man on this podcast who was the first stadium announcer you ever heard.
It was, yes. So Alan Keegan was the stadium announcer that made me want to become a stadium announcer, which is actually really scary to say because we're on a podcast together. But I remember going to a Champions League game with my brother. So my brother's been a season ticket holder at United since about 2008, I want to say. And I remember going to a Champions League game with him because the other season ticket holder wasn't available. And I think this was at a time where just before I saw Emma on the mic for the first time at Vicarage Road. And I remember seeing Alan there. And I think it was the first time where I literally watched a stadium announcer at work for pretty much the whole game. And I know that sounds really creepy, Alan. Don't get a restraining order. But it was the first time where I'd really noticed how much of an impact they have upon the atmosphere and how professional and put together you have to be, even in the face of like huge fixtures. And from then on, I was watching stadium announcers at every game that I went to, just being like, oh, cool. Like, I'd love to do that. And yeah.
Oh, it's not very often we get that, Al.
Yeah, no, listen, we all do it. We all do it, Kerrie. We're anoraks when we go to other stadiums. I spend more time. I always say to my son, he always says, we're always in the concourse. And I always go, let's get into the state. No, we're all right, Dad. Let's have a drink or a cup of tea or whatever. No, I want to get in. So I go down early doors watching and listening to all the stadiums. The last one I had the pleasure of listening to was the stadium announcer at Nottingham Forest. So
Deno.
Yeah. So it was very, very good as well. But that was the last stadium, and I think I might get the chance to listen to the Wolves one coming up when United play away.
Dave Hunt.
Yeah, yes.
Nice.
So but going back to Emma, she's a great girl, fantastic girl. Yeah. I mean, I've done some events with her as well, and she's just first class, Emma. All round, good person and a beautiful person as well.
Combination of icons there. What I will ask though is obviously when you at that point when you saw Alan Keegan for the first time and that opened your eyes to the world of stadium announcing, I've got a feeling that was his pre-lectern days. So you were seeing the real, old school Alan before things got real celebrity.
It was. You didn't have a lectern back then, I'm afraid.
Well,
I mean, we can all hope for a lectern, Alan, but
Yeah, well, good old Brad's got his blue plaque or whatever on the wall. I've got my lectern as my sort of legacy, And in the summer,
very true.
In the summer, I was telling Rich they actually put me a little shelf on it now inside, so my folder doesn't go get wet or anything. But Kerrie, let's ask you the all-important question. Are you a clipboard or are you a folder with the plastic sleeves? Now think about your answer, Kerrie. Very important, this. Very important.
I feel super under pressure right now. But I'm going to be honest, I am weather dependent. So most of the time I'll have a clipboard, right? But sometimes I will have a plastic folder attached to the clipboard if it's hammering it down, right? But I learnt my lesson from having just a clipboard, because about a season ago, there was an injury, right? Julie Thibault from Leicester City gets clattered, right? I've got a clipboard in my hand, right? And this clipboard is my all-encompassing clipboard, okay? Triple substitution comes up for Leicester and the opposition at the same time, right? Julie's on the floor, blood streaming. She needs a new shirt, right? 6'4" Leicester City kit man, Harry, comes hurtling towards me in the tunnel, clipboard, flings in the air, one substitution in, board has just started. I am panicking, right, because my clipboard is up in the gods right now, and I am trying to do 6 changes in one go. Right? 6, yeah. And I'd announced one, ouch. So you can't stop now. There's no backing out.
No,
you know what I mean?
Through, you're committed, yeah.
So I have learnt my lesson. So with the plastic wallet now, it clips in and it won't come out. Yeah, and the Velcro, sometimes I've even got a Velcro strap that goes around my hands, because obviously my 5'5" frame was not standing a chance against a 6'4" man running at me at speed.
Was Harry cautioned for that offence?
Do you know what? I should have suggested a touchline ban, because honestly, it was pretty scary watching him hurtle towards me. But I was too busy watching the board, trying to go with the board, because I will be honest, I do go with the board a lot of the time. Like opposition, it's usually occasionally give me the card. You know what I mean? I'll have a quick look. But on this occasion, I decided to brave it and go with the board for 6 changes. Yeah, I'll never do that again. Yeah. Lesson learned.
You are brave.
Also, yes, clipboard.
Yeah, you are brave. I don't know, maybe you know, I'm going to get on my soapbox once again here, but maybe the fourth officials in the WSL are a little bit more forthcoming with their information than the EFL or the Premier League.
I don't know about that. I feel like I'm entering WWE sometimes, trying to get in.
I don't know if you know this, Kerrie, but I do a lot of the women's games. Because the way it works when United started off with the women's team, and obviously we're in I think it was like League 2 or whatever beforehand. I got a call just for that, because I don't know if you know this, they play at the Lee Sports Village, which is actually like a rugby stadium, rugby league. So they asked me when I just go down, because the guy at the time obviously did rugby but wasn't a football guy, so they asked me to go and do it. And then one thing led to another, and you know, it was a case of, we're going to sort somebody out or whatever. And then they just said, look, you know, whenever you're available and there's no clash, would you do it for us? And I absolutely love it. You know, I love doing the women's football. It's fantastic, and it's just grown from there. But obviously, I don't know what the obligation is. You might know the answer to this, but I think the obligation is you have to play 2 games at the main stadium, at your main stadium. So, you know, and obviously this year we played a Champions League game there as well. So, you know, it's brilliant and I love it. And women's football is just getting bigger and bigger and better all the time.
It is. The game is massively growing. And for example, our biggest attendance at Leicester at the King Power was the United game. And I think it's one of those things that you see all the fans come in and pile in. And especially so when it's Arsenal, it's United, or there's Lionesses, you just know that the reception is going to be crazy. Like, you know, it's going to be wild. Like, those fans, they are heard. Like, they are literally heard. And it's one of those things where the game will just continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's so like affordable for families to go along to. You know, tickets are like £6 to £8. In WSL2 games, I think they're like £2 to £5 sometimes. It's an absolute bargain to go and watch the football. But it is pretty amazing to see that the game is growing, and we'll just see them attendances get more and more and more. I remember when I first started, it was 2K.
Yeah.
It's now 5, 6.
Wow.
Like it's a really good attendance.
Wow.
And does that, what's that do for the atmosphere? Is there goal music at Leicester City? Is there, I get a feeling sometimes, because I think, as good as it can be, the men's side can be a little bit stuck in tradition sometimes. Whereas if you've got something from scratch like that, you've got a chance to, create an atmosphere at a game of football.
Yeah, it is. And for the goal sting, actually, the goal sting is cooking on 3 burners, Kungs, every time Leicester score. There have been a few times where it's been pressed slightly waywardly, like when we lost to Arsenal 4-0 and the goal sting goes off on Arsenal's first goal and everyone's like, turn it off, cut the sting now.
I suppose, that is a danger, isn't it? That is always a risk, isn't it? Someone's too trigger happy,
Yeah. There's been a few moments like that, but to be fair, it's such a great atmosphere, like having the stings and everything. And we try and put as much in as possible because there is like a full media team. So on my days where I'm at the King Power for WSL fixtures, there will be a graphics guy who does the team updates, so does the cards, does the goals, does the substitutions, etc. There is a floor manager and director who actually puts different things on the screen. Sometimes we don't get lucky enough to get a feed of the game, so he's got to be a bit inventive sometimes. We do have a music man Manny, that makes things even more confusing, the fact that his name is Manny, the music man. And he cracks out some great tunes. It's usually like an indie playlist before the game, like gets everyone warmed up. You walk past the players' dressing room sometimes, and the noise that is coming out of there, I feel like I'm not Gen Z enough for it sometimes, but they do play some bangers, to be fair. But then also on the playlist, obviously being women's fixtures, there's a lot more female artists on there as well, which is really cool to see. So like names like Ray, are on the playlist and things. And it's great to see that they're really embracing that and making their own playlist and making their own kind of WSL sort of songbook, if that makes sense. So it's good to see that coming along as well.
Whilst we're on the topic of music, obviously this is the December episode for this year. So I want to talk about Christmas tunes, specifically football clubs' responsibilities to either play or avoid playing Wham's Last Christmas in December because of the Whamageddon thing. And I only saw a tweet about it last week, I think, or a couple of weeks ago, reminding everyone of the story where I think it was Northampton Town played Whamageddon and annoyed 7,000 people and took them all out of the game in one go.
DJ Matty Boy from Northampton, same area as me, my local. I actually do work for his local BBC. I am a presenter there, and I remember him coming on, tail between his legs, having to apologise because he didn't realise how serious Whamageddon actually is. But in his defence, I feel like if you listen to anything like Heart Christmas or whatever, you've been whammed by like November the 2nd.
Yeah. I mean, August normally with Heart Christmas.
Yeah.
It is, my word. So yeah, I think, excuse me, I mean, we've only got one game in December at home before Christmas. So I'm sorry, but if, whenever you're hearing this, you might have been and already know of Whamageddon you already. Apologies, but it's always going to play. There's always going to be Christmas tunes at that match, and some just are more generic than others, and they're just going to hit the playlist at football at halftime or in pre or post kickoff, aren't they?
So you are going to play it then?
It's slightly above my head, but I'll probably push for it.
Oh, I hope you got your new pictures for the front of the press.
It's been a while since I had any social traction. I'll do anything for a retweet these days.
Thankfully, Kerrie, I don't have anything to do with the playlist anymore at Old Trafford. That's again people on a far higher pay scale than me, so I won't have that.
Yeah, but don't forget the stadium announcer always gets the blame.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Doesn't matter.
Check it out.
Does it?
They had Jamie Carragher and Mika Richards taking penalties at half-time at Old Trafford. Everyone thought that was your fault, didn't they?
Yes, they did, exactly, yeah.
Everyone thought you'd booked them as guests, didn't they?
Yeah. True, yeah. What are they doing on the pitch? Did you hear that one, Kerrie?
Oh, my days. This is the thing. You are blamed for everything.
Yeah.
You are the front-face representative. I did watch and I was thinking, oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
And also, if it's too loud, you get a message, turn it down. If they can't hear you, it's your fault, and every angle is always the stadium announcer. But hey, You know, we live and learn. We live and learn.
Part of the gig. It's absolutely part of the gig. We take it.
But we have
run with
lived
it.
and learned because we're not playing Wham, I don't think. I'm
Right,
going to say
okay.
it right now that we're probably not going to play it. Music Man Manny will probably have a different view on the day. Maybe we'll do a playlist dependent on scoreline for the end of the 14th of December fixture.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't make those decisions,
That's the thing.
fortunately for me.
We're all officially removing ourselves from that responsibility right now.
Watch
Fair
this space.
Yeah, watch this space. We'll see how many of us are back in a gig in January, shall we? Kerrie, look, thank you so much for coming on. It's great to hear your story and great to hear that you are absolutely loving it at Leicester City. It's so touching to think about how much Brad influenced you getting involved in that. And Alan, to be fair.
Well,
yeah, honestly.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, next time come down and let me know, and we'll give you a big warm welcome, Kerrie. Let me know when you're coming.
Well, I'll tell you what, I will say that my mum and brother don't believe that I've made it as a stadium announcer till I do a Man United game. So, you know.
Right. Well,
I was going to ask, I was going to finish on your ambitions for the future of your stadium announcing career.
Yeah, do you know what? I do have a few, to be fair. I would love to do... I know you've talked about Wembley on this podcast loads. You know, you ask, has anyone been?
I haven't. He has. I haven't.
Sorry about that, Rich. Sorry to open up them old wounds. But I would love to do a Lionesses game. That is one of my biggest ambitions. I think it's just one of those things, isn't it? You've got to... Like, if you see the opportunity to do it, you've got to do it because it's Lionesses at the end of the day. But I would love to do a gig for one of the top 4 teams as well. I think, obviously, it's just one of those things that over the years, obviously, I love Leicester. I'm a big Leicester fan. I would go to the games if I wasn't the announcer of the team. But I think for my WSL tour, I'd love to check off a few more teams in the league. I think I would, because I've been to see, you know, as a spectator and as a fan, a lot of teams. I think I've seen 8 out of them so far. So I'm trying to build it up by the end of the season to see the full whack. And then there's quite a few WSL2 teams. But I would love to, you know, announce for a different team just to see how things are done. Obviously, like we say, go back to being an anorak. You know, you go and watch people in their craft. However, I will be honest, I do think Alex Kirkley has quite a tough gig at City because the one name that always throws me off is Laura Wienreuther. Like, honestly, her name throws me off every single time. And saying that at speed, it's a no. Yeah. It's a no, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, I'll make a note of that.
Plenty of time to practice.
I'll make a note of that, and we'll see if we can get you doing a game with the women for Man United at Lee.
That'd be awesome.
I'll have a word.
That would be sound, honestly.
The power of the podcast strikes again.
Yeah.
Well, I'll hold you to that. But no, seriously, I think it's one of those things that I'm still new to the gig. I've loved being an announcer over the time that I have. And, you know, I think it's been amazing working for Leicester. And my first game being Leicester United, was a huge one to walk into. But I also do hope that I see more girls in the game. You know, I think now that a few of us have started to creep in, you know, Lara Davies just recently covered Birmingham City's Rich. I think it's great that it's kind of now starting to pave the way to see more girls in the game, because I think it's one of them things where you are in front of the fans, like you are the PR person, you're the face, the voice of the stadium.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of women kind of have been worried about that and maybe shied away because, you know, you will get bantered, you will get trashed if you butcher a name or whatever. But I do hope that this kind of gives more girls confidence to do the job. And I think, obviously, like I said to you earlier, when I see fans at the King Power coming in and asking how I got the job, you know, as a female doing it, I think that's one of the best things to answer. That's a question I will never get bored of answering.
Cool. Well, you know, keep up that great work because it is just doing such good things for stadium announcing, for the stadium announcing community.
Yeah,
as I suppose we feel we have now.
Well done, Kerrie, and I applaud you. Well done, and keep up the good work.
It's amazing.
Lovely to meet you.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much. I will not leave my phone line around though, Alan, because otherwise my mum and brother will probably try and text you. So
no problem. If they're at Old Trafford, let me know and we'll give them a shout out. No problem.
Well, they'll be made up.
Awesome. Thank you, Kerrie. It's been great to speak to you.
See you, Kerrie.
Cheers, guys.
So thank you very much to Kerrie and to Alan and to you for listening as well. Don't forget, you can email us with any questions, thoughts, queries, or offers of ways to keep warm over the winter football months. hello@wewelcomeyourteams.com. And we're on Instagram @WeWelcomeYourTeamsPod, and also on Twitter. X. @AnnouncersPod is the place to find us. Till next time, which may even be 2026. See you soon.